How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing fantastic, dude. How are you doing up there?
Hanging in, hanging in, man. This is cool. I got to tell you, man. I don't do a lot of Zooms. Been doing a couple here and there, um, but not something I've gotten into that much, other than watching my kids. You know, with school. What about yourself?
Yeah, well, we had to learn pretty quick, just from the songwriting aspect of it. Figure out how to do that every day and create some sort of vibe in the room.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
virtual room, I guess you'd say.
It's crazy, man. Right? I mean, it's um, it's pretty wild the way all the artists have had. Radio has had to adapt somewhat, but I mean, you guys are all about getting out there and getting in the studio and creating music. Are you like technologically savvy, like, or did you have to work at it to get going?
No, I mean, as far as like Zoom and stuff's concerned, it was pretty easy just hopping on that and doing that. We did have to figure out studio wise because I don't have a studio at my house. So when we'd write, to get my vocal on something during lockdown, it was you couldn't go to a studio and put a vocal on anything. So I actually like one prayer left on the EP. I went in my closet, threw on my like Apple headphones that come with the iPhone, sang it into voice memos, and that's what you actually hear on the track on the EP is recorded into an Apple iPhone.
That's crazy because we've obviously we're back in the studio part time here and there. I'm in the studio, and it's a long story nobody needs to hear, but like my co-host can't get into the studio and can't dial in, so like we record on the laptop, and so I do a lot of my shows at home. um
Yeah.
but some of the stuff I've had to send in to my, let's say, my producer to put on the air, and I literally recorded on voice memo on my phone. Or we've had commercial scripts like advertisers, and I've had to read a script, and I can't tell you how many scripts I've read right on my phone, and I send it in, and it sounds like you're in the studio. It's amazing.
Dude, it's incredible. iPhone has like this perfect compression that they've come up with to where you can sing into it, you can speak into it, and when I mean I'm literally like have that little mic on my headphone right here and I'm belting into it on these songs. One Pair Left gets up there in the chorus and the compression on it just never makes it pop. So it's pretty awesome.
It's insane. I was, it's funny, about like an hour before we just got on, I was going through photos on my phone because I was trying to find the exact date of the show that you played at our amphitheater out
Yeah.
here. And I was pretty sure it was 2018, but I went back to 2017, and then I looked at 2019, and then I finally found September 23rd, 2018, with Cole Swindell and Morgan Wallen, and
Yeah,
that
man.
was pretty cool, man.
It was amazing. That was my first time to New York. So we went up like 2 days early, my folks and I and my brother, and we kind of traveled around New York City and just kind of got the vibe. And then we went over to Long Island, played that show with y'all, and had a blast. I mean, the fan base there was incredible. It was cool to see that people don't know my music, but they were connecting with it, and that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, and look, the other thing is I may program a terrestrial station, but there's no secrets. I mean, people get music from a million different places these days, right? So, I'm not going to hide the fact that some people in that audience may have known you from downloading music online and Spotify and iTunes and all these things. So, I mean, I'm a man of the world. Like, wherever the music's coming from, that's fun. As long as people are listening to music, it only helps me. So then I put a Ryan Griffin on stage, and they already know your songs a little bit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
man. Yep. Yeah, and it's opportunities like that are huge for up and coming artists, and I appreciate you putting me on that bill. That was a pretty good one with Cole Swindell and Morgan Wallen, man.
That was fun. How obviously you see like artists, everyone's missing live shows. People are missing live shows. As a radio guy, I'm actually, I hate to say this, I go to so many shows. I'm like, you know what? Little break was okay, but obviously, I want shows to come back. How are
Yeah.
you feeling? Like, what's your real inside feeling of how you feel that we just can't have concerts right now? What's going through your head?
It's a great question, man. At some point you're out there in the van and you're driving cross country and you're flying here and you're flying there and you're playing these shows, and it gets lost on you kind of the opportunity that you have. And then it all goes away and it all just presses pause and you don't know when it's going to come back. And I can tell you that it's something I'll never take for granted again, being on stage with, that live interaction. And so much of my music I gauge from live performances. Like, are people checking out and going to get a beer? Or are they like on their phone, or are they engaged with me and they don't really know the song, but by the second chorus, they're singing it back to me. That is huge. And I miss that so much. It's such a strange thing to be putting out music and not to have like been able to test trial it, run a little test trial on live fans. But I just hope that it comes back sooner than later, because we're all so, I don't know, we're all just missing that live interaction so much. That's a special part.
It's crazy. And I never thought I'd want to be shoulder to shoulder in a general admission pit so badly,
I know. Dude, I know. Me too. There's something about it.
Listen, I wasn't going to bring this up because this is about you. It's not about me. We want to find out about Ryan Griffin, but it just sparked a memory. Speaking of shoulder to shoulder, when I was, and I tell the story on the radio all the time, so people are probably sick of it. When I was 15, on August 16th, 1988, I attended a show at Giant Stadium featuring Aerosmith, Deep Purple, and Guns N' Roses.
No way.
It was at a time where the floor, the whole 100 yards of Giant Stadium was general admission. There were no pits and barriers. It was a football field full of people. And I was in there. That's the night that they filmed the Guns N' Roses video for Paradise City. And I'm in there somewhere. That's my claim to fame, is I was at the shooting of the Paradise City video.
Yeah, man. That's incredible. And like those kind of experiences, I feel like, we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. We'll figure it all out. It may not be this year, hopefully it'll be next year, the year after, but it's just gotta come back to that shoulder to shoulder, do it as like a crew, like you got your crew of people and you're showing up and you're just raging and letting go of all your worries and you're interacting with the music and like soaking it in. And it's one of those things that I hope my little boys get to experience that, I have a 4.5-year-old and a brand new 4-week-old. And I hope they get to experience that kind of live show one day. Man,
there's a lot of different directions I need to go in, but how are the kids, man? I've got a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 7-year-old, but I can't imagine during these times having a 4-week-old. What's going on over there at your house, man?
It's crazy. I mean, we're all stir crazy because, with the 4.5-year-old, we could at least go travel, hop in the car, go down to Florida and see my folks. But with a 4-week-old, it's kind of hard to do that. We can't really fly. I mean, we could, we're just not, trying to stay safe. And, it's hard to hop in the car and just cruise on down 8 hours, 9 hours with a 4-week-old. But, my wife's a champ. She's a rock star. She's taken the brunt of it. There's only so much I can do, but, it's been a trying season for us, definitely. But the silver lining is I'm home. I wasn't supposed to be home. I was supposed to be, and he came a week early. So I would have been like rushing back from across the country.
Wow.
So that's been the huge silver lining, is I've got to be home. I was here for when my son was born, here in this past month to like help my wife get through this first speed bump, of having a newborn and kind of take a little of the pressure off by Levi and I, my little 4.5-year-old. We go on hikes, we go fishing, we do anything to just get out of the house so that, it's not chaos, because he's at that age where he's just a wild man.
Like that. Levi, what's the name of your baby?
So Levi Hart and Jude Michael.
Very cool, man. That's really awesome. Enjoy it while you're home, because at some point you won't be home. So
just soaking it in, man. I'm just soaking it in every day.
You mentioned earlier, you said a word, you said, go to shows with our crew and have a good time. Who is your crew when you're writing, who you like to hang out with? People that the listeners would know. Is there anyone you like to hang with?
Yeah, I mean, I love like Brett Young. He's an incredible dude. We've known each other for a long time. Just a great human being. But a lot of my other like the godmother to our son, firstborn Levi, is Hillary Scott from Lady A.
Oh,
She's
nice.
like their family. They're our true family up here because we're all kind of transplants here. I'm from Florida. My wife's from Arizona, and so having that family has been huge for us. But then, I mean, so much of the songwriter community that a lot of people don't know because it's, the people behind the scenes. That's a huge part of our crew too, which is amazing because this EP name on it is literally a combination of all of my best friends in songwriting and some of my best friends in life. I got to write this music with, so it's just another like cherry on top.
So I'm big into the songwriters. I love that behind the scenes stuff. Who are some of the writers? And we're going to talk about some of the music and specifically, I have to talk about Name on It because when I listened to the EP, your boy Will sent me the songs and I listened to him. Name on It stands out, man. Name for sure. Love that song.
Thank you.
Who are some of the writers? Because some of our audience, they're into the songwriting. Who are some of the writers on the songs?
Yeah, so Nicole Gallion's on that one, and then Mark Trussell. So Mark is producing the EP. He's produced this record for me, and he's also one of my best friends. And there's a gentleman named Busby who was a big producer. He's the guy who like came in and snatched me up and said, "Bro, I get what you do. I love what you do. We got to do this together." And unfortunately, before we could really dive in to this EP, he has one song on it right here, right now, is one that he produced. But before we could really hit it hard, he ended up passing. And so we kind of had to figure out what the next move was. And before he passed, he brought Mark Trussell into my circle. And he didn't know, unbeknownst to him, that this is how small Nashville is and how just crazy it is. He didn't know that Mark was one of my best friends from college. And we actually played our first clubs and bars together. He's a guitar player. And Mark's now since got into producing. And Busby brought him in to co-produce a record. And he's like, "Hey, man, there's this new kid, Mark Trussell. He's really dope. Do you mind if, bring him in to help out a little bit?" I'm like, "Buzz, that's like one of my best friends. Yes, of course we can do that." So the label and myself put our faith in Mark to kind of finish what we started with Busby. And it's been incredible. Mark has really helped me continue to hone this sound and this, this message that we just wanted to get across on this EP.
Man, it's a great EP. What's interesting too is I don't know how much the listeners and the fans know, but you've been on Warner Brothers. You've been on Warner Brothers Records. Waiting for this moment, waiting for your first single, waiting for this time. As a matter of fact, when you performed in September of 2018, you were already, I think, with Warner, as I recall, and I think one of their label people were there. And give people a little insight into how long this process takes from, moving to Nashville and songwriting and getting a deal, and then you're waiting 2 years. I mean, for most people, it's not an overnight thing, and you've literally been waiting for this moment for a long time, right?
It's been a minute, man. I started writing, like co-writing with my brother back when I was, I don't know, like 13 or 14. He wrote poetry, and then he needed melodies to go along with it, and I've always been a melody dude. So we started co-writing together. Then I started, picking up the guitar and playing, and then writing lyrics, and then I was like, I got to move to Nashville. So I went to Belmont. That was kind of my ticket to get to Nashville. Went through all 4 years. Ended up tour managing with Aldine, which was just this crazy happenstance thing that happened because I had an internship.
Stop. We got to stop for a second. Hold on. We got to pause. You were the tour manager for Jason Aldean, is that right?
Yeah. So in the very beginning, when Aldine kind of hit the scene, I was working in the mail room at this label, brand new label. And so I shipped his single out to radio, and then ended up making friends with him because he would come in the office every now and then. And he was like, hey, dude, we're going to play Billy Bob's in Dallas, Texas. You want to hop on the bus? We need an extra hand. So I hopped on the bus with him, and then I just never got off. I was out there for almost a year with him, and it just developed into like this tour manager position to where I was taking care of everything, you know, and it was such a cool experience that literally, I mean, I could have never bought that experience. You know, it's just a really, really awesome lesson for me as an artist to like see all of the different positions that people have and how important they are and how to treat people, and, you know, and how, you know, hard being a manager and a tour manager is. That's a job that is for a very special person.
I mean, it's crazy, right? You're a babysitter, you're a therapist, you're a roadie, you're
Yep.
a meet and greet guy, you're everything.
You're selling merch, moving equipment, you know, taking care of bus drivers, stocking the bus, everything. So, you know.
So you're Aldean's tour manager, and then
Yep.
when did that end? What was next in the path?
So ended up finishing that, and, you know, just realizing even more so, like my path was always to be an artist, but I knew that I needed to have a voice, figure out what my sound was going to be. How was I going to be different from other people? You know, what was going to be my thing? And so I searched for a pub deal and ended up landing a pub deal, a publishing deal, writing songs for a living. And that's kind of how I put the food on the table for a while. And I was writing for other artists, and that's how ended up becoming good friends with Kelsey, wrote with her, ended up getting dibs on her record. Then she released it to the radio, went #1. So Dibs was my first #1 at country radio. And that kind of helped just get me into different rooms and make me a little bit more like solidified here in the writing community. And so I started kind of honing my craft, my sound, who I am, and had another record deal. That deal ended up kind of fizzling out. The label kind of restructured, and then I thought I had made it, and then, you know, the ups and downs of the music industry, I thought I'd made it, and then it ends up I'm back at square one again, kind of thing. And so thankfully I've had an amazing team, like management team, which really like family at this point, and they've always just believed in what I was doing, and always kind of like we're the ones that said, hey man, we got your back, like we believe in you. So that kind of pushed me forward. And then Busby came into my life, and, you know, ended up landing another deal on Warner, and here we sit 2 years later. You know, we're releasing some music that I'm incredibly proud of, like just incredibly proud of.
So gonna get to the music in a second. When you had your #1 Dibs, which obviously everybody knows, and I even got a chance to hug and kiss the dog Dibs. So we have. You probably thought, oh, I'm gonna have a #1 record every year. This is here we go, right? Is that how it?
No, man. I mean, you kind of, the joke is you get to pet the unicorn, and after you pet it once, you just want to keep petting it. You know what I mean? You want to jump on that thing, but it's so hard to get a #1. You know, if you're a songwriter, as an artist, it's hard to get a #1, but being a songwriter, it's incredibly hard. So I felt very fortunate to have that experience and to have that opportunity, because my wife and I were literally like weeks before sitting around our kitchen table going, what are we going to do? How are we going to pay our bills? Like, you know, publishing a writer's deal only makes you so much. And we were talking about having our first kid and all this kind of stuff. And so that kind of came along in the perfect timing. And there's so many stories I could tell you in my life that, you know, those moments where you question, you're like, oh man, am I on the right path? Is this what I should be doing? Then something like a sign comes, or something comes in and goes, yeah, man, keep plowing ahead. You're doing a good job, you know?
That's cool. So the EP, which you said is called Name on It, right?
Called Name on It. Yep. Yeah. You picked a good song.
You're smart. You took they're all good songs, but you took the best song, and that's what you titled the EP, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, the reason I named it Name on It is because, you know, it's such a deep dive. This whole collection of music is a deep dive into my life, and like just the lessons I've learned and the reminders. So much of it was written as a reminder to myself, and I didn't realize I was doing that at the time. But when I sat back and I looked at the body of work, I was like, oh man, I remember learning this lesson. I remember, feeling this way. I remember blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, this is just a collection of reminders to myself. And I hope it can help other people like it's helped me. But yeah, I mean, it's Name on It we picked because I'm so proud of this, and we often like put our name on things that we're proud of. It just seemed like a really cool name for it.
Yeah, I love the song. And you,
Thanks, man.
did you say yet this is going to be your first big single to country radio with Warner? Is this?
I'm not sure yet. We actually were just having a conversation earlier today about like what song are we going to pick to lead off the charge at radio, and I appreciate your feedback on that because it's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, you go tell everybody over there what I said, and make
I will.
sure.
I'll be like, yo, Phathead said this has got to happen.
Done deal. He's a hit maker. He picks all the hits.
Yeah, man.
And you already told us about One Prayer Left, which you recorded during quarantine into your iPhone. Give me some of your other favorites that people should be checking out on this thing.
Yeah, Right Here, Right Now was the first song that we released, and that song is like, it's just an up-tempo, positive, feel good song that literally I wrote because I felt like I wasn't present, like I wasn't soaking in the moments. Life was happening so fast, and I didn't feel like I was being a good father or husband or artist or friend. I was spread too thin, and it was just, I walked into a room, and this is the beautiful thing about writing with some of your best friends and people you trust, is because I walked into the room and we always kind of, chat a little bit and catch up about 30 minutes into the write, for 30 minutes or so. And they're like, man, what's going on? And I just told them, I just poured it all out there. I was like, I feel like I'm not doing a good job at any of this stuff. And I need to like soak in the little things, and I need to be more present. And I was like, man, I just feel like I need to be like right here, right now. And then the song just kind of fell out, and that's how so many times, so often that it happens, that's how you get the genuine songs.
When I saw it on the EP, I before I clicked on it, I'm like, please be a Van Halen cover. Please.
Man, so many people have said that. That's amazing. I love that. Yeah. But so much of it, I mean, like Going, Going, Gone is the first time that I met my wife. It's literally like college apartment, met her, saw her sitting on the couch, and we tried to visually like capture that moment so people felt like they were walking into that apartment, and they felt like they were sitting next to me, and that excitement that I felt the first time I laid eyes on her. That was the intent behind that song, and it was a night that changed my life. So of course I had to share it.
That's awesome. Yeah, you got a lot of great songs on there, and we'll see what they pick, to send to radio here. But love Name on It. A little
Thanks,
birdie.
man.
Yeah, man. Little birdie. Will.
Yeah.
Bird. He told me that you're into because I said, listen, I'm honest about this stuff. I do a morning show, so I like to pull back the curtain for the listeners. I'm like,
Yep.
What is Ryan into? What does he do? What is it? What can I talk to him about? And he says you just love the water, man. You're a coastal guy, right? You're a fisherman. Now here's the thing. I grew up. You're gonna think I'm crazy. I grew up in Rockaway Beach, Queens. It's 4 blocks wide. You got the bay on one side, the Atlantic Ocean on the other. I have never, and now I live in Long Island, I have never gone fishing. I've never put bait on a hook. I've never been fishing.
No way.
In my life. I know.
That's crazy, man. I grew up down in Davie, Florida, which is like Fort Lauderdale area, South Florida. And every weekend we went to the Keys. It was just like, we had a house in the Keys and a boat, and my dad was an avid fisherman. So I often say like I have salt water in my veins. My feet were on the water as much as they were on dry land when I was growing up, so it's very much like in my DNA to go out fishing and deep sea fishing. And moving to Nashville, that was one of the hardest parts because, there's no beaches. There's lakes here, freshwater lakes, which I appreciate, but at the same time, it's not the same as getting out on a boat and going 20 miles, 30 miles out and catching, massive dolphin or grouper or something like that. And every year we try to get a crew together the core is like my brothers and my dad. And then we bring some friends and we hop on my uncle's boat and we go over to the islands and we go fishing every year around June. And couldn't go this year, obviously, but that's a way that we've kind of kept that tradition going since I've moved to Nashville and my folks have moved up to like North Central Florida now. So, but it's a huge part of my life, huge part.
That's cool. You know, I spent from when I was literally first born to, I don't know, the age of 25, I spent almost every winter break, Christmas into New Year's, with my family. We would vacation down in South Florida, and we would always stay at the same hotel, and it was right on the corner of Hollandale Beach Boulevard and A1A.
Yeah.
Right in Hollywood, right by the big water tower. It says Hollandale on the beach there, and we'd go, man. We'd go to Flanagan's for the ribs, you know, there on Hollandale Beach Boulevard, and so I love that area. I mean, I literally spent 10 days there every winter for my first 25 years of my life. So.
Yeah, that's not a bad place to go winter break, man. Not a bad place at all. So, do you guys go to the beach and all that?
Yeah, we'd go to the beach, hang by the pool. It was really, our full day revolved around sitting at the pool and discussing where would we go to dinner that night. That was like our...
That's a proper vacation when you finish breakfast and you're talking about lunch.
That was it, man. That was it. We go, do you remember, and this is so off topic. This has nothing to do with anything. I was reading an article like a couple months ago about the Rascal House down in South Florida. Do you remember this place? It was a breakfast place, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But I used to love this restaurant.
I don't know if I've ever been there. But is it down there? It's right around that same area?
Yeah, it was down in between Hollywood and Miami. Like you drive from Hollywood on A1A to Miami, and it's like halfway or something like that.
When you guys stayed in that hotel, did they have like charters right there where they brought in fish and you could go to the docks and see the fish come in, or no?
That's a good question. I mean, the hotel was literally butted up against the Intracoastal there.
Yeah.
And I don't remember that, but it's possible. Very possible.
Yeah, man, that's a good little port there, a good little fishing area. I think I caught my first sailfish right off that port right out there in the ocean.
That's awesome, man. That is man, you've got a lot going on. I wish you the best in everything. And we'll, obviously have you up here at some point.
Yeah.
Whenever that is. But I'm looking forward to finally getting Ryan Griffin music on the radio, even though we've played a couple of songs. I've thrown again, we don't play them all that often, and they're from years ago. What were some of the songs you may have played of yours? I've spun them a few times.
I think Backseats and Burn CDs you guys spun.
Yeah.
And Play It by Heart, I believe.
Play It by Heart, yes. Those are the two. And they still come up in rotation. I still have them in rotation.
I love that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, man. Play It by Heart was a Busby song. That was one of the other songs that he produced, man. And that's a really special song to me.
Yeah, and Backseat and Burn CDs. That's a good one, man. So
it's hilarious. My I think it was my niece or nephew. They're like 15, 16 now, something like that. When that song came out, she looked at me and she goes, What's a burnt CD? And I was like, oh God.
Yeah. You've got a lot of explaining to do. That's funny.
Dude. It's funny. But tomorrow, on Friday, the EP comes out, and there's another song that we're kind of attaching to that called All Over Again. That's one of my favorite songs on the EP. They're all kind of my babies, but that song is just like the most raw, vulnerable, honest song I've ever put out. And it's just about like how love's not always perfect, but when it's real, it's worth fighting for, man. And I feel like anybody that's ever experienced any sort of real love can relate to that.
That's cool. And so this, we're going to post this on our website and stuff. So anyone who's watching, the EP is officially out. You can go get it. It's Ryan Griffin, name on it, download it.
Yes.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. Well, this has been fun. I like when I can talk with someone and probably 90% of it has nothing to do with music. So
I know, dude. This has been so much fun. I can't wait to like officially cheers you and have a drink with you or something when we come up to New York.
we'll do it. We will do it for sure at some point, man. I appreciate you spending time and tell Will there that his friendship is appreciated and looking
Yes,
forward
sir.
to doing some big things with you. All right.
Dude, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Good to see you, Ryan.
You too, buddy. Peace out.